All right, welcome to the next episode of Midnight's Edge. Tonight we're going to be talking about Avengers: Age of Ultron. We're so lucky that we have a contributor living in Norway, in Oslo, who has seen one of the earliest showings in the world. And with me, of course, is Andre.
Hi guys, it's 4 a.m. in Norway and I just returned from the movie and I'm ready to discuss it and spoil it for all of you.
So tell me a little bit about the scene. I saw some pictures, but it looked like it was pretty mobbed out there.
Yeah, it was absolutely packed. Just some background. This cinema is the Colosseum, and that is the biggest single cinema in Norway. And it was absolutely packed with fans. Remember, this is the midnight showing, the first midnight premiere of this movie. The regular screenings don't begin until more decent hours the day after. So here was only the really hardcore fans, and they came out in numbers. So it was absolutely jam-packed. There wasn't a single seat available, so it was filled to capacity, which I think is close to 800.
800, that's gigantic.
Yeah, it's quite a big cinema.
So how was the actual environment of the theater? One of the reasons I've kind of stopped going to movies wherever I can is because sitting with other human beings is horrible in general. I mean, you always get somebody leaning against your knees. There's always somebody starting a picnic in front of you and throwing a blanket across several laps. I mean, was it a good seating?
Absolutely. I think in general, Norwegian audiences might be a little bit more peaceful than American ones. But this one was particularly serene in a sense, because these are all the hardcore fans and they're all there for the same thing. No one wants to ruin anyone else's experience. Here you see people who are dressed up as Wolverine one was, and that never happens. You never have cosplayers in Norway. That's something really rare, and it happened in this movie, and that's the first time I've seen, which just goes to show how much the MCU has grown in popularity all over the world, including in Norway, because now this has a fan base the same way that Star Wars and Lord of the Rings has. And I didn't think that would happen, but it appears that is happening, which me, as a Marvel fan, is really happy about.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it at Star Wars showings, especially when The Phantom Menace first came out, which actually did not turn out to be a terrific movie, but it just showed how excited people were to have Star Wars back after so long. But wow, that's pretty cool. It sounds like a really good showing.
Yeah, it was excellent. It was an excellent showing, and people were really psyched, and you could actually feel the atmosphere and the excitement of everyone in the room, and everyone also appeared to enjoy the movie. You could feel people were ecstatic over what they were seeing.
So you mentioned that there was actually a scene in the movie, kind of unexpectedly, that used Oslo as a setting.
That is correct, which of course the Oslo audience were delighted about. This isn't really spoiling anything, but there is a scene where Iron Man goes to Oslo. Of course, you don't really get to see anything of Oslo, but he's still there. He's in a computer terminal in Oslo, which is kind of cool. The local audiences get a bit of a kick out of that.
That rocks, yeah. So I guess just to start off about the movie itself, what did you think about it compared to the first Avengers film? I mean, obviously it was a big deal for people. I don't think people realized just how tremendously exciting this could be when everybody's kind of enjoying something so fun together, and even non-comic book fans can really see what comic book fans enjoy about it. It was kind of a cultural event. So how do you follow that up?
I think the biggest mistake they could do was to do more of the same, and luckily they did not do that. This is a very different movie in basically every way from the first Avengers movie, and that's why it works, as someone has previously stated, because the background story is different, the plot is different, all the character relations are more evolved, not just from the first Avengers movie, but also from every movie and every event that has happened in between. So we follow the characters much later in their journey, so it's all kept fresh and interesting, and that's one of the good sides of the movie. It doesn't try to replicate what was done before. It tries to go beyond it and take us to the next level of the Marvel universe, and in that it's very successful.
Neat. So I think one of the biggest questions we kept hearing, though the first person to ask it was Loth D, they wanted to know, is there an after credits scene? I think we heard a little bit that there was not going to be much of anything. Joss Whedon had kind of come out and said, they just couldn't think of anything that would do it justice. So what is the story?
Well, the thing is, if you remember back to the first Avengers movie, in the US version of the movie, when it was released stateside, it had the mid-credit scene with Thanos, and then there was the after-credit scene with them eating shawarma after the Battle of New York. That scene was not in the international release because it was filmed later, and maybe they are doing something similar right now, because in the version that I saw, the international version, there was no after the credit scene. There is, however, a mid-credit scene, and for all I know, there may be a post-credit scene in the American release, but right now, in the European one, there isn't.
I see. Well, I guess we'll find out.
And the mid-credit scene we'll get back to in the spoiler section.
Right. Alright, so the next question, how does Quicksilver compare with X-Men Days of Future Past? So obviously I think most people will be familiar with this situation, but it's kind of a situation where I guess Fox had felt like they had the rights to use the character kind of as an associated X-Men character. But of course, I don't know why Marvel was so quick to pursue this character, other than that they felt it was something people would enjoy seeing on the screen. So they kind of wound up pulling the trigger on two different versions of the character in a relatively short time span, but different universes, obviously. So how did that play out in this movie?
From what I gather, Quicksilver was always planned to be used in this movie, and he does fit in. He's an integral part of the story. For the Fox movie, X-Men Days of Future Past, they were initially planning to use a young Juggernaut in the escape scene. It was only later, after Marvel announced that they were using Quicksilver, that Fox decided to change it up and use Quicksilver as well, since he's one
shitty.
of the characters. Yeah, that was really shit. They even had an actor cast as the Juggernaut, and if you look online, there's even concept artwork of what he would look like. But that's alright, the actor cast as Juggernaut was recast in another role. He was cast as the young Striker. That guy was originally cast as Juggernaut. That aside, Quicksilver, he's a very different character in the Avengers Age of Ultron than he is in X-Men Days of Future Past. In X-Men Days of Future Past, he's a very cheerful, happy-go-lucky kind of guy, whereas in Age of Ultron he's much more conflicted. He's a more multi-layered character. He is one who has suffered a lot and has gone through a difficult life, so he's a much darker character. He's also much less powerful than he is in the X-Men movie. He's not nearly as fast, so he's in a sense more realistic, I guess, but ultimately less fun. So if you're talking about which portrayal is more fun, which one will make you happier to watch, then the X-Men version wins. But for the depth of character, the more intriguing character to follow is the Avengers version all the way.
Yeah, it seemed like they picked a really good actor for the role. I mean, somebody everybody kind of likes already.
Yeah, he surprised me because the actor, Aaron Taylor Johnson, kind of underwhelmed me in the last movie I saw him in, which was Godzilla, but here he was surprisingly good. He plays an Eastern European character, and oftentimes when an American plays an Eastern European, it doesn't always work out all that well. But this guy here, he could have been in any bar in Russia. He pulled it off to perfection. His accent was consistent throughout, and that shady hair dye was like perfection. So
Awesome.
I think the actor did a really good job with it.
So the next question I have from the Raptor 98, kind of a related question, is Elizabeth Olsen's portrayal of Scarlet Witch as amazing as people make it out to be?
I would say so, yes. I thought that she was really good because in the beginning of the movie, I'm not spoiling too much now, but in the beginning of the movie, she's more villainous, and you kind of get why. You get her motivation, and you get why she does what she does. And she pulls it off to perfection as well. You kind of feel for her struggle, and why she has made the choices she has done. In a way, she's quite similar to Captain America, which we can get more back into in the spoiler section. But then she has a change of heart later on, and she joins the good side, which again isn't really a spoiler. Anyone who has known or read the comics knows that she ends up with the Avengers eventually. And she does this change of heart also really well. She doesn't really stand out from all the others because they're all so good. There's not a single bad actor in the movie, and everyone is at the top of their game and fire at all cylinders. So she stands out in the sense that she's a newcomer, but compared to all the others, she just fires on all cylinders, just like the rest.
So speaking of standout characters, and I'll just switch it up a little here, who is the standout character in the film?
Well, I'm not sure there is one standout character. I would say that maybe there are two. The ones that stood out to me were Black Widow and Hawkeye, because we learn more of both their characters, and both are much more vulnerable than they have been before, in a sense, which is good. We learn more about them. We see that there is a different side to Black Widow, and we see that Hawkeye also has his soft spot that we haven't really seen before, and maybe he stands out a little bit more because of it. He was kind of underused in the first Avengers movie, and in this one he gets a little bit more to do, and he's slightly more important for the team dynamics. So if you have to pick one standout character, I guess it's Hawkeye by a narrow margin.
Well, that's really cool, considering there was some debate as to whether he'd actually be in the movie or not. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that's turned around so well for him.
Yeah, it turned out really well, and he's really integral to the movie and to the dynamics of the team.
So I'll swing back, because we have kind of a funny question here, back to Quicksilver. Does Quicksilver get a Wilhelm scream? And that's a question from Hobo Party Boy.
Not that I heard. And I'm usually allergic to those things, so I picked them up because I absolutely hate them. It takes me out of the movie instantly whenever I hear a Wilhelm scream, and I did not hear one here. So if there was one...
In the entire movie, you didn't hear one?
Yeah, no, I didn't hear one in the entire movie. So if there was one, it was hidden behind so much other noise that I missed it. But I don't think there was one, because I usually pick up on them, and they destroy the movie for me, and that did not happen here. Thank God.
So, we don't have to do any spoilers here, but just as a general question, does the film feature any unexpected romances?
Well, that depends on if you've seen the trailers, because the trailers, they kind of hint that there might be something going on between Banner and Black Widow, and there is something going on, absolutely. So I wouldn't really call it unexpected, provided you've seen the trailers. If you haven't seen any trailers, if you go in completely unawares, then yes, there is a kind of unexpected romance. Although romance might be a stretch. Budding romance is more like it.
Yeah, I kind of avoided the trailers like a plague, so there you go.
I'm sorry I spoiled it for you, but...
No, it's fine. If it's in the trailer, it's fair game. Alright, and only because I have to ask the obligatory Punisher fan question. Were there any Punisher references in the movie?
None that I was able to spot, so I don't think so. Not any Daredevil references either.
Oh, that's too bad. I know a lot of people will be hoping for something like that. But I suppose, though, going forward, the character has kind of earned the right to that kind of involvement.
Yeah, I think we'll see the Punisher sooner rather than later. But in a sense, I'm glad that they didn't put anything more in, because the movie is quite filled to the brim with characters and action and plot lines as it is. And I think that if they had filled in even more, it just might have put it over the edge, which it kind of narrowly balances right now. So I think it was the right decision to not put any more in there.
Alright, let's just cap off our spoiler-free version here. What would you give the movie overall, the rating?
I think I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. And let me explain that, because I think it's a very good movie, but it is a little bit crowded, as I just said. It has loads of characters. It has loads of storylines, and there are some details that I was a little bit unclear on after the first screening. So I think I need to see the movie at least one more time, because there was so much going on. So that's one thing. And the other is that it's a very good movie, but it's also a very dark movie. It's not fun like the previous Avengers movie and some of the other Marvel movies. This is just dark, dark, dark. So the first trailer, which was quite dark in tone, kind of captures the tone for the whole movie. So all the critics who say that, oh, Marvel is for the kids and Disneyfied and kiddie, and well, this is just another strike against that line of argument. This is definitely the dark side of Marvel. And I was hoping for a little bit more fun, and so I'll knock off a few digits for that. So it's a solid 7.5. Not quite up there with the first Avengers.
Well, I guess it would have been pretty surprising if it was.
To recapture all of that, I think, would have been an impossible feat. But they did the only thing they could, which was to go in another direction. And they made the right call for it.
All right. Well, so you'd recommend it. You'd give it a thumbs up, though, in any case.
Absolutely. Thumbs up. Go see it. And it promises great things to come. So just stick with it. The Marvel Universe is just getting better and better.
And I think that'll do it for our spoiler-free edition of this. But we're going to have a spoiler-filled version that I hope you guys will stick with us on. If not, though, make sure you also check out our website at midnightsedge.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at midnightsedge, as well as visit us at facebook.com/groups/midnightsedge. Signing off, this is Kevin.
And this is Andre. Take care.